kill him off. Do it. A little bit of conniving person, and maybe it's very nice. He would have just taken her. So, let's talk about another character. Let's talk about Eris. Okay, so a while ago I did, like, I think beginning of this year, I did this video about Tamlin. Recently it's been picking up, but one person, someone mentioned, hey, why don't you want to do a video about Eris? And I was like, you know what? I kind of enjoy Eris's character, so I'd love to talk about him. The video on Tamlin, you can watch it later. I'll like put a link down below in the description box as well. But where I kind of talk about, like, I understand where he's coming from and he needs desperate therapy, but he could have a very interesting character arc if he would start doing something about it. Or if not, and he's just gonna remain whatever he is now, we're just kill him off. Do it. Because it needs to be going somewhere, and I think he could have a really great character arc, which we don't really see right now. But anyways, another person who has had a very long story in the Acotar series is Eris Vanserra. He is the oldest of the Vanserra brothers, son of Baron Vanserra and Lady of Autumn. We don't actually know her name. Older brother of Lucian, and most notably and most apparently the heir to the Autumn Court. Now, here's the thing. In the first book, I think he's mentioned very briefly as shown under the mountain, and that he's like this corn trained male. I'm gonna use them interchangeably. I don't care about the difference. It's the same. Like, I can't deal with it. But anyways, where Feyre kind of sees him, first impressions, shows to be cruel, cold, distant, you know, very much like his father. And he's also known to be extremely cruel. I think then we get into the second book, and we get to know a little bit more about him and why he's cruel, specifically the relationship between him and Morgan. And I'm gonna be very honest, when I read this, I was like, yes, you cannot like him, but I also understand why he left her there. I'm editing this right now and I have no idea what I'm saying, like which word I used, but what I'm trying to say is that the fact that Mor slept with Cassian before she married Eris is of no influence to the explanation that follows. I get it, like, I get it, but yeah, I just want to like make that statement that like is of no relevancy to the explanation that follows. No. I was like, if he would have accepted her like into the Autumn Court, and like, because she's like she's obviously tortured and maimed by her family, left on the border of the Autumn Court with a note nailed to her, basically saying she's your problem now or whatever, something in that vein. And he was like, don't touch her, don't look at her. Which is like, if he would have touched her, taken her, she would have been brought to the Autumn Court and go through the exact same thing. Again, she would have definitely died, or at least wish she was dead for the rest of her life. That is not a way to live. And I felt like there are a lot of reasons, but if he really still wanted her, even if just not to marry, but just to have, because, you know, as a possession, he would have just taken her. And I kind of looked at it, so I was like, okay, he could still be like super cool. But I felt like for me, it was kind of like, I understand, like, he didn't take her though. I mean, and I've always felt this idea, especially later on, I feel like maybe he led Ezreal to her. Ezreal found her a day later. More dead than alive, but let's be realistic, when Ezra found Eris, it's a whole other story. Eris found her. She was also probably more dead than alive at that point. I don't know. It was a very interesting read, and I was immediately like, I think he did like made the right choice in leaving her there, because if I was Morgan and I'd be laying there and went through all of that, which I can't even imagine going through, but then a horrible experience and everything. It's just like, if I probably her choice are like, either I stay here and die and maybe get found by someone who will help me, or I go with them, go with Eris into the Autumn Court. I will never get out. I'll never be free. And I kind of like, even if Morgan was like, just leave me here, I would have fully understood that decision by her or by Eris. Like, obviously they both have mentioned, specifically Eris, like, there's a lot more to the story that you don't know, there's a lot more that you don't understand, and a lot of the stuff that was going on, there's a lot more to it, and we're not here. I feel like Morgan's very much in a right to not talk about it. It's very, very traumatic experience. Not just her early life, but specifically that point in time where she came back after her morning with Cassian, was horribly disfigured, maimed, whatever, by her family. Which, I mean, they were already not good to her, but like, I think that's like such an extra level. And kind of like, as basically a bag of trash left in the Autumn Court. I don't know, like, I understand that that's like not a topic to discuss, and I feel like obviously we've all known that there are a lot more that she just doesn't really discuss. That's like, I think the second book where that's mentioned. We don't really see him, I think, in that one up until the third one. Excuse me, like, maybe it's the second one, I don't really know. I read the first 3 novels in one swoop because the time that I read the series, I think the first 3 and the novella were already out, I think. So I don't really know where one ends and the other begins. But I think it's the third one where we see Eris again, and that's when he makes contact with Rhys and offers alliance and help against the war of Hybern. And he's like, and that's when he really vocalizes, like, I want to take over my father's throne rather sooner than later. But it's like, I have a plan, there's a lot to tell there. And that's kind of when we get the first taste, I think, of the more Eris that we know him after the last novels, A Court of Silver Flames, where it's like he wears like a mask of cruel and maybe it's very nice. I will say this, I do feel like, yes, Eris is probably not as cruel as he's made out to be, but I think he's still a little bit of conniving person, which I'm not mad at. I love that. Like, I love, forever, I just really enjoy reading really dark, more like Greek characters, where it's like, the best part about it is they are fictional, because if I would meet those people in real life, I'd be dead in an instant. Like, I'm aware. Would never want to meet them, actually, but I just love reading about them because they bring the drama, they bring the tea, they antagonize the protagonist as they should, and I really love it. And I think they always like leave people on that precipice of like, I want to hate them, and they do something horrible, but then they also do things that are kind of good. Like, you know, they let you explore the gray area in morality. Anyways, later on in the novels, he does showcase that he really doesn't agree with his father. We learn that he defied his father in going after Jasminda, which was Lucius' former love of his life, basically, in which he even thought that they were mates, which is kind of it's very significant. We also learn Eris that he definitely paid the price for that. Here's the thing with Eris. I think we've gotten a little bit more information on him. I will say I was kind of surprised when he immediately offered to marry Nesta. I mean, understandable. Like, I get it. But also, why? What? I feel like, so maybe it showcased a little bit that he is missing this very powerful ally against his father. Yeah, I just feel like we don't know that much about him. I think he obviously represents the mask of cruelty, but I also feel that he's partially very caring. I think where it's specifically Rhys and Eris are very different is Rhys did wear the mask of cruelty very much, but I feel like he was more, if he was cruel, it was against the people who actually did a lot of things wrong. And with Eris, we just don't know that. He is known for being cruel and horrible and despicable, But I think Varys had like his inner circle and his friends. I think that he has a more amiable and familial bond and is probably a warmer personality when he's gone from the mask. Like if he doesn't wear the mask, I think he's like just a warmer personality. I think Eris doesn't necessarily is. Like I think he's kind, but I think he, even if you would know him, there would still probably be a very slight distance. Like I don't think he's as warm of a personality, which I don't mind. I think it's good that we won't get like a second Reese, like it just would be boring. And it would also diminish Reese very much as a character, and same with Eris. So yeah, that's why I think he's like a little bit of conniving still, which I think is really great and interesting. We do see that he's a very caring person. On multiple occasions, specifically through his mother, during the High Lord meeting, when he is the one who jumps in to protect his mother, and I think during Aquar, where he actually does, they know that he does have a slight sense of regret to him when he sees Lucian or when he looks at Lucian. So I think that there is like, he does care very much about like, I think people, his family that are, where I think that he feels like you deserve better than being in this situation. And I care for you. God, I just hate this. Like, we just know so little about him. So kind of that's what we know. I feel like that's how I view him. But where I think that is the most interesting discussion is how does he like talk about like when is he gonna take over the throne? I hope it does work sooner than later, because to be fair, if this is gonna last for another few books, I'm just gonna be bored. I'm gonna be done. Like, let me know when he does, and I'll read the few chapters. Same thing with Lucian and learning that Helion is his father. I feel like at this point, this like information is stretched too long. Like we've known for too long, and that's which I just think happens. Like I get it, like within the book, I understand maybe because I think they've known for about a year now within the novel itself, which is still an extremely long time, and I think they should have told him a very long time ago, and I kind of don't like that they do that. But it's very on brand for Sarah. Sarah, that she just doesn't like characters develop. Character development doesn't like develop immensely if they're kind of off screen. So if they're not relevant to what is happening within the pages of the novel, like what she paints, I feel like a lot of characters don't go through a lot of character development. Don't hate the Inner Circle. I enjoy the Inner Circle. I think they're great, but other people also develop when the camera's not on them. It's kind of like, I don't know. And also because like we've known for years, I think at this point, that Helion is his father. Anyways, different from Sarah, brother. Back to Eris. Why he hasn't done it, I think he's obviously been thinking about it for a very long time. He's been probably working for it for a very long time. And it made me think like, why, Eris, haven't you done this yet? What are the reasons? Because it can't be because you like your father. It can't. He's made it very clear that he doesn't care. We also have known for a very long time that the Baron is not the best leader. I think he's very much someone who leads through fear, which is a very temporarily way of leading. It doesn't last very long. But what I think that Eris does, this is what I feel might happen, which I think would be sort of the most interesting. I don't know if it's the most interesting. I'm not a writer, so don't hold that against me. But I do feel like Eris has been slowly working on creating alliances, which obviously he has to be very careful for, because as soon as his father knows, not only will he kill everyone that he has a potential alliance with, Eris will also very, very much pay for it, and maybe die because of it. Well, we do see that he does hold an extremely big sense of power, for a very big part through his mask of cruelty, which you can see with his brothers, specifically during the High Lord meeting and everything, where his brothers kind of sneer at, like, I think, like, Inner Circle more, I think either one of both or either one of them, I think. Anyways, doesn't matter, but he's like very quickly to shut that down. It's like, it's enough, and his brothers stop. And for anyone who knows his siblings, if your siblings like, stop, you tend to be more aggressive in what pisses them off. So the fact that they quit immediately, I was like, oh, someone holds a lot of power as well within the family dynamics and very much within, I reckon, also the Autumn Court. So I feel like maybe he's drawing alliances with people who are not high fae. I also feel like he doesn't want to create two different courts, the way that we see like a court of nightmares and a court of dreams basically in Phalaris, which are in Phalaris. I think he just wants an Autumn Accord with a smoother transition of power, and that he just doesn't want to create two courts, like one where people can go revel, and then where like the evil side of the Autumn Court is, and then where the like the good side of the Autumn, it's not good, but like the one that don't lead by fear, which I think is something that he's probably trying to do, which does take a lot of work. And also, obviously, Eris is not as powerful as Rhys. Like, Rhys is just the most powerful, and he's High Lord, which also brings its own perks. Eris simply isn't, and I think that's why he also needs someone with a lot of power next to him, because I think at this point he is very unsure about whether he can beat Baron, which, so I'm looking forward to where this is going, and to see where he's going. I feel like there's a thing for success. I hope he gets a lot more screen time in the future. I hope we get more insight into the Autumn Court. Do I think that that's gonna happen anytime soon? No. But it's still fun to think about it and to see what's gonna happen. And I just hope that he and Lucian, that he becomes High Lord of Autumn, and that he and Lucian rekindle the sort of friendliness that they had for each other before Lucian was banished from the Autumn Court. Say about it, other than that, because yeah, he's not as much hated as Tamlin that we've seen before, because we just don't know that much about him. I'm curious to see where his character is going to go, and if you do have another character that you want to talk about, which doesn't have to be part of this series. I do really enjoy thinking about characters and why they do what they do, which isn't necessarily on the pages, but kind of like in between the lines, and specifically dark, morally grey characters, because I do really enjoy those. And that's it. That's gonna be it for today. I see you guys again next time. Up until then, happy reading!